for showing out. I think this is such a relevant topic, probably more so now, but we know it crosses all generations. And so what I would like to do is just get everyone an opportunity to discuss what they talked about in the breakout rooms. So if we can get like a representative from, let's see, which one of those breakout rooms, anyone that's feeling really excited and wanting to share, feel free just to raise your hand. That would, oh, Tom, yes, go for it.
Well, I want to thank you. I've been here in San Diego for over 11 years and deeply involved in the community, predominantly the prison ministry that I've been doing, but that has touched domestic violence a lot. And hearing about the services that South Bay community provides as an umbrella is such a powerful lesson this morning. So I so look forward to gaining the hard copies, if you will, of what our wonderful presenter shared, and share that with other members of clergy who may not have that resource at their fingertips.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you, Tom, for sharing. And I agree, I was very impressed. And Marcy, did you want to kind of share some of that big umbrella wraparound services, just as a quick highlight?
Sure. That was the fastest I've ever been asked to kind of give any information. I didn't even get through a quarter of it. So I would be happy if any of you work with folks in the South Bay, or you're down in the South Bay and you would like me to give a bigger presentation, or you have a meeting where you would like me to give a presentation specifically, I'd be more than happy to do that. We operate a 24/7 crisis hotline. We respond directly to law enforcement in the southern region. When there's domestic violence. We have a emergency shelter for survivors with minor children. We have a transitional housing program. We have a therapeutic preschool for kiddos 4 and over if they need intensive case management and counseling services. We have daytime advocates stationed at the Chula Vista Police Department who can help with counseling. We operate a therapeutic program for survivors and their children. And then our hotline is 24/7. So if you have somebody actively fleeing domestic violence, they can call that number to connect with an advocate day or night and really get that in-time support and the resources and the connections to where they need to go, the safety planning, the stabilization services. We operate a food pantry, different rental assistance programs for folks who are fleeing and needing to get into their own place. And it doesn't have to be South Bay residents. Like I was sharing, you know, we kind of try to avoid putting anybody into shelter who's specifically right around our shelters. And I use the Chula Vista Police Department as a guide, but we will work to get someone where they need to go. So connecting them, we're part of the shelter collaborative. So we can, you know, call on our partners to really get folks to where they need to go to kind of help them in their journey. And we attend the San Diego Domestic Violence Council meetings, as well as I'm on the teen dating violence subcommittee, and I give presentations on healthy relationships to San Diego agencies who need that. So we're all over the place, lots going on, lots we can help folks with. And you guys can definitely give me a call anytime if you have somebody, or shoot me an email if you have a survivor who needs immediate services. We're always happy to help.
Thank you so much, Marcy. And the resources are going to be very valuable. The next representation I would like to hear from is North County Lifeline. Is there a speaker representation that would like to kind of report back, like in a quick 1 minute, of some of the highlights that was shared in your breakout room? Would that be you, Brother Yusuf, or is there, or your?
Yes, I can do that. Our breakout room was North County Lifeline with Alberta Saavedra. And the things that really touched on me was that before COVID, it was mostly misdemeanor clients. And then during COVID, you know, everybody's sheltering in place and they have more felony clients, an increase of felony clients. The batterers, the topic was about the batterer side of domestic violence, and we don't hear a lot about that. What's going on with the perpetrators? They have to attend a 2-hour per week, 52-week course with North County Lifeline, and they're normally mandated. They provide them with education, make sure they understand the different types of abuse. A lot of them don't identify as being abuser because they don't really understand what they did wrong, especially if there's no violence involved. So North County Lifeline, they educate them on the different types of abuse that goes on. There's a wide spectrum, and they have a wide spectrum of clients. There's no one typical type of client, although there are certain precursors that that enhances the event that comes about with domestic violence. They also provide wraparound services to mitigate some of those events. So with training, financial literacy, things like this, emotional relationship building, those kind of things to neutralize the precursors that take them to domestic violence. So the therapy that is used is a non-punitive type of approach to make it more digestible, make it more useful to the client, and in the delivery process is far better that way.
Thank you so much for sharing that.
If I may tag on just one more thing to what Yusuf said. What was interesting to me is that the Lifeline organization, even though folks get mandated to them for services by a jurisdiction, they are not paid by that jurisdiction to provide those services. So even though a court may mandate them getting therapy there, the court's not paying for it. So that was an interesting aspect.
Thank you, Mo. And I appreciate hearing the different perspective from the perpetrator as well as the resources we heard before. Next, I would like to see if anyone from Center for Community Solutions, I think that might have been Kelly or anyone from your group.
Sure, I'm gonna defer to Cleo in just a second, but I just want to say as a listener, what I took away from that, and I think our group, was that Cleo presented that CCS listens to what is needed by the person, because they don't always know the person coming into their building what kind of solution they need to their problem. So they listen to what that is. They can't just say, oh, you need counseling or you need this. They listen to what the need is. That people, the takeaway also is that people are not always ready to talk. So you have to be, presented with that. And then also her colleague Susie shared that places like CCS are also always in need of like new items. So if a domestic violence a victim comes in to the center and needs, clothing or things like that. But I would rather have Cleo present real quick their resources and their hotline, like I think it was Marcy did for the other one.
Great, thank you so much, Kelly, for sharing your observations. And so Cleo, if you can give us like a really quick overview of the information you shared. I know we're getting close in time, but this is really good, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. I just, Susie, my colleague, just dropped in the chat our emails, and I also just dropped in our info card, which has our hotline information and all of our services listed on it. I think that just to add on to what Kelly was saying, we have a lot of different services that are available. And one of the things that we think is really helpful for you all to take away from this conversation is working with youth and trying to engage in those preventative conversations about what are healthy relationships. I think that I'm seeing that conversation in the chat about how we can really address, prevention. And we do a lot of work in that area. And I really would support you all in finding ways to engage with your youth and your community about preventing violence.
Thank you so much, Cleo. I appreciate even you sharing a little information about the youth. This has been a really good synopsis of all the breakout rooms. Next is we would like to hear from El Nido Interfaith Shelter Network. Rosemary, I believe that might have been your group, or if someone in your group would like to report that.
Is Maria still on the call? Maria Garcia? I'm not sure.
She's there. I think you're on mute, Maria.
So
yes,
Maria,
I'm here.
Yeah, explained you know, the qualifications and the program, the case plan that they develop with each of their participants, and how each of the 11 apartment units has been adopted by a local congregation, and that congregation helps furnish the apartment before a new resident arrives, and including dishes, silverware, glasses, a full refrigerator of food and a pantry full of food. And then when that family moves out, they're allowed to take all the furniture with them, except for obviously the refrigerator and the stove. So these women, when they're ready to leave, you know, they don't have to worry so much about, oh, now I have to start a new household from scratch. And that they also have to save part of their income for savings, and a third of their income, whether it's from public assistance or from work that they have, they pay toward rent. And that helps them practice for real life budgeting. So they don't get a, you know, shock when they get out in their own apartment and then all of a sudden they're paying rent and utilities and internet and all that stuff, that they do learn how to budget. The other thing she emphasized, I think can't be overstated, is the importance of site confidentiality, so that the abuser does not know where she and the children are. And there's a number of steps that El Nido takes with each of its new clients to emphasize that. And they don't receive mail at the site. They're not supposed to be picked up or dropped off in front of the project. And that, you know, all the mail goes to a PO box that staff picks up daily and distributes. So and I know they have a way to, when someone comes to the front gate, to get a channel on their TV and see who it is before they let them in. So that's very important at all of these programs, I think.
Thank you so much for providing that read back, Rosemary. We have 2 minutes left, everyone. And so in consideration of time, the Crisis House, Daniel, if you identify anyone from your group that would like to read back and let us know the information and resources that was shared, that would be very nice.
Yeah, I forgot to ask for a volunteer, but does anybody want to recap what we talked about? Or I'm happy to give a real quick summary. Pat from Crisis House, you know, when we asked about specific ways that the folks in our breakout could support her and support Crisis House and the individuals that they work with, you know, she had some, you know, really simple ideas of like, you know, we need diapers, we need toiletries, you know, we need health hygiene kits, we need those types of things. We need prayers. She said, you know, the power of prayer for them, for the people they're working with and supporting. She said, if you know of available housing units, it can be really hard to find landlords who are willing to, you know, to rent to individuals. And so, you know, if you have a granny flat, if anybody in your congregation has a granny flat or an extra unit somewhere, great to connect those opportunities to them. And also just, you know, at a more macro level, supporting policy initiatives that support affordable housing. And so going to the really, you know, the really big level of how can you support things, you know, that affect the institutions and sort of the environment overall. So thank you to Pat.
Great. And so Daniel, did you want to go ahead and close us out or?
Sure, I can. Did we get everybody? Did we get all 5 groups?
We got all 5 groups.
Oh, awesome.
Yes.
All right. Well, thank you, Sonia. Well, thank you all so much for being here with us. I know we're almost at the end, or we are at the end now at 12 noon. We really appreciate you taking the time to be here. Thanks to all of our breakout speakers and our keynote speakers for taking time to share your work, your experience, and your resources with us. Our hope at CIDRC is that out of today's gathering, you know, lots of folks have gotten some new information. They've gotten some inspiration too from what people are doing. And they've got some ideas about how they, in their personal lives, in their faith communities, in their work, can take action and really work to help stop this problem, the scourge of domestic abuse, including domestic violence, family violence. And so we will be following up with everybody to hear hopefully how, you know, you're taking this morning's gathering and putting it into action. And so look for future communications from CIDRC, including a follow-up email that'll have an evaluation, so you can give us some feedback about today, and also a whole lot of attachments to the resources that were mentioned from Reverend Dr. Parker and Assistant DA Grasso and others. So please stay tuned for that email. Check your junk folders or keep your eyes out for it. We do want to hear back from you very soon. So thank you, everyone. Stay safe out there. and many blessings.